Over 93 million people have registered to vote in the upcoming elections in Nigeria on Saturday. About 40% of those voters, we're told, are said to be under the age of 34. The young people have been quite vocal on issues that are currently plaguing the country, and in fact, many of them are calling for change. Let's make sense of these dynamics and bring in our guest. Hassana Maina is a Special Assistant on Sustainable Development Goals working with Atiku Abubakar, who's one of the presidential candidates in that three-horse race, as it were. Hassana, it's great to have you on the program. Thanks very much indeed for making time to speak to us. I mean, I'm going to take into cognizance your positionality around this particular election, but let me ask broadly what you reckon it is about this particular election that's resonated so much with young people there.
I think it speaks directly to the failure of this current government that has made young people so tired. And then that has also made people to realize that they must participate in governance. Because prior to now, young people have seen that or have the idea that governance is, something that old people should be involved in, or that's something that old people should do. But we have seen so many advocacy, like the Not Too Young to Run, that has pushed for the reduction of age for people that can contest for the president, House of Assembly, governor, etc. So that's like a constitutional requirement that, has been amended to reduce the age group of people that can contest. And aside that also, I think the NSAS has also played a big role because you then have now seen how it is that when you do not, when you do not elect people that can listen to you, when you do not elect people that can respect human rights, then you are playing with your life basically, because it means that you can be killed in a democratic setting. So at the end of the day, it became very important for young people to come out and vote, and also the economic situation of the country, because you now see a lot of young people leaving Nigeria to go in search of greener pastures. In countries of the global north, you see a lot of Nigerians moving to the UK. You see a lot of Nigerians moving to even Canada and the United States, they are moving in numbers that have never been seen before. Right. So I think all of this combined just points to the fact that young people must get involved in electing who would represent them. And I think that has also brought about a lot of interrogation, even even on the candidates, to see who is worthy of such position and who would ultimately respect human rights.
Absolutely. And it's interesting that you go into that terrain because, as I mentioned at the start of our interview, you're currently working with Atiku Abubakar, who's one of the candidates who are vying for that position. A man in his 70s, and in fact, many in the commentariat suggest that young people resonate more with Peter Obi.
So I think this is a very touchy subject, because I feel there is also this conversation about young people, and then there's an elitist side of it. And the elitist side of it is by looking at social media, by looking at Twitter and, most especially Twitter, and, trying to make the conversation to revolve around one person, and also trying to disenfranchise other people that do not share the same belief with you, which is extremely dangerous to democracy. I think the conversation has been dominated, and it has also been, people have been bullied for speaking up about their choices. And because of that, people then became afraid to even come on social media to say, this is who we want and this is who we believe in. But I do not think I agree that that all of the youths or majority of the youths are looking at Peter Obi as the answer to the problem. Because I think we've also come to the realization that we are at a very critical stage in this nation, and we need experience. We need people that understand what it is what it is that we're going through. We do not want people that would come up with this has been fact-checked a lot of time with fictitious figures and make it look like the problems of this country can be fixed, overnight, because the truth is it cannot.
Right.
And you can even look at the policy documents of, the three candidates, and, you would realize that His Excellency Atiku Abubakar's manifesto came out first. And His Excellency Peter Obi's manifesto came out last. It came out even after so many of us, the youths, have been asking. So you said you want to lead. Tell us how you want to lead. So it came out after clamor. And I think it has just made us realize that you cannot align yourself with someone that would take, it would take a lot of time to just come up with a manifesto. Because before you should even declare, you should know what it is that you want to do.
Of course.
And I think, seeing that also, and then realizing what happened with the Buhari's administration, that's President Buhari's administration, when it took him more than 6 months to elect ministers, and then seeing how that has pushed the country into recession in his first 4 years in government, you don't realize that you do not want a repeat of such.
All right, Hassana, thank you. I think your point is well made. Apologies for interrupting you there. Just keeping a close eye on the clock. We also have in studio with us Enoch Hyelaparda. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
Absolutely.
Thanks very much indeed for making time and for joining this discussion. You're a youth ambassador of Nigeria to South Africa, and I'm sure you're listening to Hassana there, who's live to us there from Maiduguri. And she raises several important aspects that I think are worth unpacking. For one, are you in agreement that many people in the commentariat are looking at the youth in a very superficial, one-dimensional way, by even trying to predict which of these three candidates they're likely to back, given just the multiplicity of the reasons why so many young people have registered to vote?
Thank you very much for a beautiful question. I didn't get your name again.
Ayanda, welcome.
Ayanda, thank you very much. When I was coming here, there's a lot going on in my mind, but I'm happy my sister over there, Hassana, is speaking. But let me just make this clear. My position as the youth ambassador of Nigeria, the first national youth ambassador of Nigeria to South Africa, has always been not politically influenced, but more on the humanitarian side. So for me, I've been looking at the trajectory over the years of what has happened. You can see my business is to sell the Nigerian youths in a different narrative. If you look at what's happening now, your question, let me just dive into your question real quick. Because of time, I would have taken you back on what has been happening in the past 3-4 years. The average Nigerian youth has been evolved in their mindset. And what people are seeing today, the world, everyone is talking about the Nigerian election, is that there's a new mindset. Ayanda, the day you realize who you are, then automatically you know who you're not. Because there's a new awakening in the mindset of Nigerians. I was coming, just a simple example, I saw traffic coming from different angles, just to intersect in a particular, in one direction, just to move to a specific place. It's not like this, young people are not influenced or preached to. It's just that there's an awakening.
Sure.
It's a new mindset. You can see the Nigerian young people have been selling it to us the past 3 years in everything they do. In the country, something that's never happened, we were able to push our voices for the not too young to run bill. Over the years, it was accepted for young people to participate in our election on their own, not influenced by anyone. You can also see the trajectory in the way we've been able to take our industry self in our own way. Without being sponsored, influenced by the government, we've been able to take our industry, and globally, Ayanda, we have been celebrated, especially in our entertainment industry. That voice came back just a few years ago with the NSAS movement. Single-handedly, the young people of Nigeria said, you know what, now we've realized that we've wasted too much time. And we have to use the system of advantage, which is our mindset.
Yeah.
We understand now.
And how do you reckon that awakening is landing in the country? Because it's one thing for young people, of course, to realize who they are, as you put it. Yes. And it's another when you consider whether or not the country is ready for that.
Yes. Now, you see, the thing is, like I said earlier, Ayanda, our voices and our will has been louder, but people have not seen it coming. You see, the older generation of Nigeria, like I said, it's not Atiku or Peter Obi or Tinubu, anyone that wins at the end of the day. It's not going to be business as usual. These people, these are young people ready to question the status quo. You can see it's happening. We're questioning, everyone is supporting his own candidacy, and I heard you raise the question of Peter Obi being like the guy that is out there and everything. That's because you can see they're hungry for a new rebirth, something new, something completely different from the usual.
Sure. Hassana, let me bring you back into the discussion. I mean, Enoch touches on what I think is quite an interesting thing, right? We know that Muhammadu Buhari is not running in this particular election, and many people, I suppose, are going to use his tenure as an influence on who they back moving forward. But to what extent do you also reckon that no matter how things unfold on Saturday, Nigeria is going to be fundamentally different, not just because there's going to be a new person in that seat, but just because of how people are feeling, mostly young people are feeling about where the country is at?
And that is the reason why I said we must be careful with the projections that we do, especially international media. Because, and then we've seen so many polls of people not coming. Right now, I'm in Maiduguri. I have been to the grassroots yesterday. I have listened to the youths. I've listened to women. And what they are saying is quite different from, what people on Twitter are saying. And that's why I'm saying the polls and some of these projections are very elitist. And, they have been amplified by international media. And as such, it has been given this one narrative that I've said before is extremely dangerous. Because when the result now play out, then it gives room for violence and other things that, should not be encouraged in a democracy. And as such, I think at the end of the day, it's that I'm glad that we're also having this conversation, that there's another, side of the conversation that people are now having. And I think we must continue to, like yesterday, the presidential candidates have also come out to sign a new accord of non-violence, after elections and even before elections. And this is the third one that was signed. And, it was attended also by His Excellency Atiku Abubakar. But let's also talk about, President Muhammadu Buhari's track record and him not being on the ballot. This is going to be an entirely new time for Nigeria, of course, because I was 16 when His Excellency President Muhammadu Buhari was sworn in as Nigeria's president, and at that time I wasn't even eligible to vote.
Right.
I'm 24 now, and he is leaving this thing. So at the end of the day, whatever it means is whoever gets elected is going to direct the course of our lives, till I'm 32. And that's like a lot of years, like, a lifetime can happen in 8 years or 4 years, whatever the case may be.
Yeah. And as we kind of round off our conversation, I mean, there's going to be a lot said about what Nigeria looks like after this election as well. In the lead up to Saturday, there had also been concerns raised around security in the country, given the various things that have happened, even perhaps in the last week or so. How do we work to address those? Because I'm sure as an ambassador for the young people, you also have an interest in how the country is viewed.
Thank you very much. One of the key things, I'm happy you asked this question, because if I end up saying nothing here, that's the one thing I want people and the young people to, both the ones, you see, even the ones in diaspora are craving for this change. The young people are trying to give out in the little way they can support the movement. Like I said, one of my key goal and one of the things I've been championing since last year when I got the appointment is the SDG goal number 16, which is building peaceful institutions among young people. Because you see, from the African Union to the United Nations, their focus is on young people. Because you can see young people's mindset has gravitated towards being inclusive, in governance and in leadership and in the place of power. You see, bad politicians are elected actually by good people who refuse to exercise their vote in the right way. When I mean in the right way, young people must understand that the unit of our future or destiny is time. And we don't have that time to play around with. So you must consciously decide the place of peace rather than violence. Because like I said, I'm happy to be in this time of season and this generation, because like I said, people are coming up with a new mindset of doing things not because they're influenced. And I want them to go on with this mindset of making sure that they don't allow anyone to instigate violence, as we've been used before as a tool like I said, there's a lot of uncertainty in this election. The uncertainty is the old people are still using the old manual to approach. But what is happening now is the average young man will tell you on the street of Nigeria, don't worry, I'll get this money, but I'm voting this. Because now I'm tired, because they've experienced hardship. It's been following the trend. The hardship is to the last minute.
Sure. Loud and clear. Plenty more to be said, and trust me when I say it's a story we'll keep watching in the lead up to Saturday when that election finally takes place. But for now, let me thank you for your time.
Thank you so much,
Enoch Hyelaparda, who is the youth ambassador to Nigeria. The youth ambassador of Nigeria to South Africa, I beg your pardon. Also joining us there is Hassana Maina, who's the Special Assistant on Sustainable Development Goals with Atiku Ichilema's I beg your pardon, Atiku Abubakar's office. Once again, to both our guests, thanks very much.
Thank you very much
for your time.
Thank you so much.